So what does it mean to start from scratch, to get rid of everything? So pretty much what you're trying to do is imagine yourself like at the core of it, you've got an onion, you've got all these layers. So as you've grown up, all these layers of how to do things, have been enveloped from in you. And imagine inside the center of that, inside you or inside that onion is this creative light, this limitless idea generator that it just creates your next step in life and you, this thinking being. But ever since you were a kid, your parents have been like, don't cross the road, don't do this, don't do that. I'm not saying survival is important, but this is for everything else in your life. We've taken survival techniques and applied it to our everyday life when everyday life is more about creating where you're going to invest next, what are you going to do in this project next, how you're going to fix up your relationship. Those are all moments of creation. So imagine yourself as an onion. You've got these multiple layers, and initially when you were born, you started off with pretty much no layers, 0 layers, you know? And you were this everything in your life was a moment of creation. It was just you just sort of figuring things out. And then over time you become this thousand ball of layer after layer after layer after layer. So why do these layers get created? So we as humans tell each other lies so that society functions. So we tell each other millions of lies, you know. If you do this, then we will reward you. If you're nice, if you're a good person, then you get this. So, you know, if you don't do this, you do this. So these are all millions and millions of ideas that we put together so that we don't end up fighting with each other. We can cooperate as society. But do keep in mind, every single idea that you've ever been taught is pretty much just an act of creation. It's just a set of systems that we set in place that society works better. Like for example, if your granddad was, you know, he would be creating a farm, and every month or every 6 months he would plant certain kinds of seeds. And he did it for the first year, he almost died because he stuffed it up. And he did 3-4 years and finally he got it down pat. And he's like, man, that was terrible for me. I never want my kids to go through that again. So then he's like, all right, 3rd month of every year, we're going to plant this seed and it must be done. If you don't do it, you might die. But because we are afraid that our kids may not listen to us, so we set in these laws. So sometimes those laws might be rituals, sometimes they may go into religious beliefs, like you must plant this seed on November the thing, as that's when this God came to earth and is going to fertilize your soil. If you don't, God will curse you and not fertilize your soil. So that is sort of like a lock-in contract to your mind that you will follow this ritual. But when a ritual or a system comes into a human being's, like you have millions of rituals, if you look at that ritual closely and realize that that ritual is helpful, but there are situations where that ritual may not be helpful. What if that summer it didn't rain and those seeds are not going to work? You're going to have to figure out another way. But if you believe in this ritual so strongly, it'll lead to your demise, your death, because you won't look for other ways to survive that year, because something different happened that year, something very different. So yeah, so essentially it goes back to the idea of we are trying to create this desire. We're trying to get to this goal, you know, this tennis player goal. You know, look at all the goals in your life, and it's this goal of being a tennis player, fixing a relationship, you know, whatever goal that you have in life. And when you do